Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is. I do hope it finds you well, and welcome to John's Writing Space. My name is John, and I am an author. And I'm coming to you here today on this Writing Wednesday to talk some about some of the things I try to do, or some of the things that end up when I get stuck in what I'm writing, and also just in general talk through it a little bit. As I posted and talked about in my video yesterday, I haven't really done much writing in the last couple months since being displaced from my job. Sort of having much more open structure to my days has led, I've just been having some difficulty finding that structure, finding the flow of writing. And part of that also is, um, I've hit one of those just chapters that I sometimes struggle with where it's really sort of a point A to point B type of situation. Um like, you know, the story had a good flow to it. The last chapter read was sort of a big reveal of some information that's very important for the story. It's something that sort of I've been building up and sort of planning and rehearsing out in my head for a while. Um, and then after what I'm writing, after the chapter I'm currently on, we have a couple of much more action oriented chapters to close out the first half of the book. The chapter I'm on is sort of I call sort of an A to B chapter of really like there's some setup and there's enough that happens in it where I don't want to just jump to the next chapter. I feel like also with the revelation there needs to be a bit of a breathing room before we get into some action. So I am sort of in sort of in a situation, but I find those chapters hard to write sometimes because there's not some big situation, discussion, whatever to, I guess you could call it, hang my hat on um, for the story. So that's sort of what it ends up being like, is just trying to figure out how to make that flow, make that interesting instead of they go here and do this, they go here and do this, they go here and do this, necessary information. But I don't like making chapters where there's just that. So sort of working out what else to include, what else to hook on it. I have some ideas. That's one of the things you know, this is something I've run into the past with some of my other books. I hope it doesn't take me near as long, but my first book, there was about a year before I could unsnarl one of those chapters and get it sort of straight in my head. Um, at this point, I've been struggling with it to the point of even like I wrote a page and have been sort of staring at the Word document periodically since that. I think, if that keeps going much longer, I might just hop over the chapter and sort of start on the more interesting or the exciting action oriented where I have a clearer idea in my head of what's going to be going on. Um, Maybe try, looking online. I might try to do some like writing exercises or something like that to really um, sort of get myself in the groove, get myself back, whatever you want to call it. So just get into the flow of writing, and part of that's also like, part of that's also just making the time for it again, or figuring out how to structure my day that I have regular time to put in and focus around writing and exploring what I'm, because it's a well-known adage that I'm a big fan of. You can edit bad writing. You can't edit non-existent writing. I think the actual quotes, you can edit a bad book, but not a non-existent one, or one that hasn't been written yet. So just getting something down on the page, even if I'm not 100% happy with is something that, I'll probably, I might look at trying to do first before I just skip over the chapter. I know I've put that as a recommendation before, but I'm not always the best at following my own recommendations. So, I'm working on that, working on trying to focus on that structure, focus on the flow, sort of get an idea, start sort of planning out in my head what I want that to look like and to sound like. So I can get going and keep going on my writing. Um, I would love to hear you. I would love to hear your thoughts on sort of some of the things you've done. Some of the. I would love to hear your thoughts. What are some situations that you find, where you run into, whether you want to call it writer's block or you get stuck or that you struggle with writing. Um, I said for me, it's A to B chapter. It tends to be sort of the more A to B chapters that I call them. Getting from one major instance to another can be a little more challenging. And what are some of the suggestions and best practices, etc., that you can give for how to do that? I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that. Follow my socials, read my books. All of those are linked below. But for the meantime, I do hope you all have a wonderful day, get a chance to do or experience something creative, and I'll catch you on the next one.